how to get AI to recommend your brand. The amount of people in the community that are asking, how do you get cited in ChatGPT? How do you get cited in Claude? How do you get cited in places like Gemini and these other LLMs? When people are basically turning around and they're looking to get cited, what is the best way to get recommended into these LLMs?
It's a huge loaded question, this. So there's a huge amount of nuances involved. But one of the easiest ways is you have to be able to clearly define what your brand is and what you do. So you have to be able to, answer a big list of questions of what your brand is, what services it offers, why you're bloody brilliant at those services, and then also competitors, like who else offers these services, and how good are you versus these competitors as well. So it's very important when trying to get AI to recommend your brand that you go after all of these different signals and make sure that the information is concise, it's filled with semantic triples. Anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's subject, predicates, and objects. It's the typical way that a machine understands black and white. It does not understand the gray area. You have to feed it almost like a child. You have to say, this is the way. There's no alternative. This is the way. And you just feed it the information like that, and it kind of understands it a little bit better. Basically, remove any ambiguity out of your brand and get those articles to be or the mentions online to all be the same. It's almost like you can imagine, like back in the day, you used to spam the internet when everyone was like, "Oh, you can't spam anymore." Penguin came out, Panda came out, obviously the content one, and you can't spam anymore. But you're not spamming. What you're actually doing is a LLM understands based off machine learning that the more in-depth you go with the entity, and the more you mention the entity connected to the predicates and the objects, it's building its knowledge base of what this is. And that's the key. Spamming is me just saying, I am James Dooley, I am James Dooley, I am James Dooley, I am James Dooley, but you're not. You're going out there, you're saying, I am James Dooley, I am 26-year-old, I am obviously you're not going to say I am, you say James Dooley is 26-year-old, James Dooley is, you define it in a way like that. James Dooley is a successful business owner. James Dooley owns 700 businesses. That's how you define it. So you would skip the I am, and that's the semantic triples coming in there. And that's kind of what you'd be looking to do when it comes to getting to AI to recommend your business and trying to get more trust signals.
So with regards to branding, so people are looking to go, how do I get recommended by AI for my brand? Let's talk about personal branding. So now, when you're being recommended, it could just be an employer's looking to employ an employee, and you're an employee and you want to have a positive sentiment online about what you do. It could be that somebody like yourself that's got a knowledge panel, that your next business partner could be coming along to then basically turn around and say, okay, I want to JV with yourself. Or it could be looking to sell the business and you're looking to get not just recommended, but a positive sentiment about your personal brand. How important is the third-party sources in manipulating or LLM seeding or getting that brand to have a positive sentiment? How important is the third-party sources in that?
I like the word seeding. It's not manipulation. We're not manipulating anything here. We're spouting the facts and we're spouting it loud. So we're not trying to manipulate anything, but we are making sure that the facts are out there. It's like vital. I would say it's like, it is the most important pillar when it comes to LLM optimization. You need to be being clear, concise, and confident in everything that you mention online, and being not publishing anything that's ambiguous. Because if you publish something that's ambiguous, we like to look at it as like an off-page topical map. If you're publishing any bit of content, or there's any bit of content online that's being published about you that is ambiguous, it lowers the confidence score in the entity itself. So it lowers, it might not understand. It might confuse you with a music composer. It might confuse you with something else because it's not confident enough that your personal brand is James Dooley.
So with regards to moving on from personal brands to business brands or corporate brands, and someone asked the question, how do I get my business brand cited in ChatGPT? How do I get my business brand cited in Claude? And how do I get my business brand cited in Gemini? Is doing those 3 different LLMs, is it exactly the same model, or is there slightly different nuances from one LLM to another?
They all have their own different ways of understanding the algorithm. Obviously, it is very similar, but you would be looking at trying to find cited sources in each one because they're not all using the same source. Obviously, Gemini uses very much the Google Knowledge Vault and its own knowledge of the search engine. Obviously, it's probably the oldest one out of the bunch in the sense that, Google's been around, it's got so much data. And then obviously ChatGPT has its own entity and knowledge sort of blocks and understanding of the world and where it's pulling data from. So it's kind of like you need to find out or understand where it's getting all this data from. And then you need to then work with those sources to help improve your corporate or brand knowledge.
So you would, if someone came to you saying, I've got a corporate brand, I want to get recommended more, I want more LLM visibility for my corporate brand.
Yeah.
You would, if they specifically said ChatGPT, you would be trying to go to the sources on ChatGPT to try to potentially even on those existing articles that's there. Let's say there's a listicle that's there and your brand isn't mentioned. Would you be trying to reach out to the author of that source, that listicle, to say, you couldn't add us into that listicle, please?
Yeah, 100%. It's like it's kind of like an old link building technique where you used to, you'd reach out to competitors essentially, and you'd kind of just say, look, I'm wanting to get, you don't even need to link to us, but it'd be great if you could cite us. No, I am in this space. You could even almost pitch them. He has our pitch deck of why we're freaking brilliant at what we do. And we think we should be cited on this page. You don't have to link to us, but this is why we should be cited. Then that's like a great way of doing it.
And then if someone's coming through saying, okay, I've got a new brand and I want to get cited within the LLMs, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. New brand comes along and they've seen the AI reputation tree from Searcheroo, which does everything. It does the 4 pillars. It does the who you are, what you do, why you're freaking brilliant, and why you're better than competition. And they give you all the information. How does someone reach out to get this AI reputation tree to get their brand recommended within AI?
So go to searcheroo.com, obviously the contact form there, give us a message. Now, there will be a bunch of questions and I'd always say chances are if you're a brand new brand, you're probably not going to get accepted in. However, obviously myself and James share a lot of content online and we'll be able to give you a helping hand. So when you're ready, you can come back and we would be willing to accept you in at that point. But there's a huge load of questions that we will ask. And if there's any blanks in those questions, then unfortunately, you might be able to get into, say, month 1, where if it is like, and as long as you agree that you can fill in the blanks for month 3. So you've got 3 months to get to the point that we have these blanks. Because if you don't, you've just ruined the entire footprint the entire tree that we're trying to plant.
Yeah.
You fed it poison.
Yeah.
Essentially, when
I think anyone who's watching this with regards to branding and trying to get recommended, the 4 pillars that we're talking about, the who you are, what you do, why you're freaking brilliant, and why you're better than competition. The who you are, you can always do. And it's trying to then move, and you can probably do pillar number 2 as well, to be fair. The services, they'll know a new brand, what services they're willing to offer.
Yeah.
So you can do month 1, you can do month 2. It's very, very quickly where you need to be trying to get some beta testers, to get some reviews, to get some testimonials, which then can kickstart pillar number 3, which is the reputation element.
Yeah.
And further down the line, trying to get some awards and shout and scream about that. And then the last pillar, how you can compare your services to other branded services to get that brand being cited and recommended in AI. Like you said at the very start, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of work with query fan out that needs to be being done to get those brands being cited in ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, and many other LLMs. But Karl, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, mate.